To another edition of New Year Black Me. So today's message is going to be entitled Dear Black People. So I do have a few things that I want to say to my people because I think that it needs to be said. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about on this channel, but one of the main things that I see that's concerning within the black community that I believe that we could get better at so we can grow together as a community instead of always at each other's throat when we have bigger issues because we're still a group of oppressed people. And if we're just fighting each other, we're not going to solve the bigger problem. So we need to unite. Speaking proper. It's we have so many microaggression that's going on. Like, for example, if someone who the best example is President Obama. People said, oh, he's well spoken and he's articulate. And I consider that as one of those microaggressions where you're saying, oh, I'm surprised he can speak well because he's black. That's what it sounds like to me, because in many cases you don't hear many people of their same group, primarily, whites or anyone else, saying that person is, so well spoken because it's supposed to be presumed. However, if a black person is well spoken, then you have to make note of it. Similar to how people, say, oh, like, you're pretty for a dark girl or a black girl. All those things are microaggressions, are basically saying you're expected to be ugly, but you are the exception. And there's many well-spoken people, and there's a lot of people who do not speak well, and they're not black. So then going to black, people with each other, if someone speaks well, I hate when someone says, oh, you're trying to speak, you're trying to talk white, you're speaking white. Like, so speaking proper is only something that white people can do. So, I get that, other people get that. Proper is not a race thing. It has to really do with, proper education and grammar and things of that sort. So, and it's funny because if you don't speak proper, if you speak country, then oh, you're country, or you're ghetto, or you're this, or you're that. But the minute you speak proper, you got to hear from another black person, you're speaking white. And I think we need to stop that. Stop, talking to people, putting them down when they're actually doing something great. If someone is well spoken, that's a good thing in our community when we see people that are well spoken, or any community. But why tear down another black person who's speaking well? So you know so I would say stop saying you're speaking white, because one, it's an insult, because you're saying basically black people cannot possibly speak well, only white groups can, and that is a problem. When someone is educated, I'll say, when black people say, oh, you must think you all that because you have an education. So because someone is educated, um, you pretty much are talking down to them, because you're saying because they're educated, they think they're all that, as if they can't fit in on the same level of understanding, because many people who do are educated, it does not mean they all came from great backgrounds. They came from, many people come from many socioeconomic backgrounds, no matter what education they have. So, why put them down? You can gain knowledge from that person. There's even people without education that you can gain knowledge from. So those who are educated, stop, making sure, or stop trying to make it seem like black people in particular, who are not educated or not smart, because I've seen a lot of people who have the book smart and they're like dumb. If you throw them out in the world, they won't survive. And then the people who have street smarts, they'll survive better. So it has nothing to do with education. per se, because people can go get the same education and come out differently. So just stop putting each other down based on education, especially with our own community. We have a lot coming at us. Why tear down ourselves? So that will be the second thing, number two. The third thing I would say is if telling someone they're not black enough because they don't fit with the black consensus. So if you think all black people need to think this way and they don't, then they're just not black enough. I think that just because someone has a different point of view than you doesn't mean they're not black. I mean, now if they just don't have a black agenda and they're just completely, on some other stuff, that's different. But just because someone just doesn't generally agree with you doesn't mean that they're not black enough. And black is not, so many people of other cultures assuming black has to only do with music and dancing and the type of food we eat. Being black is so much more than that. It is a type of, it's not just a race, but it is a certain culture, but it's more than material things. So don't get it twisted. And I think that, so many people, try to jumble being black all into this one particular thing. But, there's black people on so many different levels, and we're going to have different points of views on things. But as long as it's still uplifting black people, I can't say, it's wrong to say you're not black enough. Even going into, if you're mixed, there's nothing, how can someone not be black enough unless they just, like I said, have an agenda completely being part of the oppression of black people. I mean, you're black. It is what it is. Calling people bougie based on where they live. If you grew up in the projects, I'm pretty sure when you get money, you're probably not want to stay in the same area where it's either drug infested or a lot of criminal activity. You're going to want to move somewhere where you feel safe. And there's no such, well, you can say, but stop seeing that, oh, you moved to the white area as in only white people can have nice things. I just hate when people try to put a race to things. You just move into a nicer area. If it just happens to be less black people there, it doesn't mean it's just you just move into the white area. It just means that you're trying not to stay in the same area where you were probably once robbed or once in a predicament that you wish not to be in once you have money. I think it's pretty cool to be around your own community, but in some cases, depending on where you want to be, what house you want, it's not going to always be there. But it's amazing that we call each other bougie the minute we come up. And the minute, I'm pretty sure if that same person hit the lottery or made money, they'll be right out of there. And if you're going to stay in your own community, that's great. As long as you're not flaunting your money while people still, living the same kind of way and you're just flaunting your money around, why? So, if I'm going to go back and I'm going to stay in my community, I'm going to help out my community. I think even when you leave, you should do that if you have the funds to do it. Help out some way you can. But the next thing I would say is colorism. I love being brown. And I think that it's wonderful of people of all different shades of brown, whether they're light, medium brown, dark brown. I just think that it's a wonderful thing. Like, we're the only group of people that have such unique range and shades of color. We come in so many different shades and it's all so beautiful. Why hate on each other for it? Why? We've had people tell us who's better and who's not based on our shade of color outside of our group, and now we're doing it to ourselves. Why? Like, we rag on each other's hair, whether their hair is natural or not. If someone is natural, great. If someone is not, fine. Why are we hating on each other's colors and our looks, saying who's black enough, who looks better? You probably heard the brown paper bag test, and if you've, I'm a fan of Spike Lee, so if you've watched School Days, you could see how it showed the difference between light and dark people. But I'm just not even understanding why we have this colorism thing when being different shades shows how beautiful and unique we are, because there's no other race that has all these beautiful and different shades of color. So we should be loving on each other instead of hating on each other. And besides, everyone is trying to get a tan to look like us. So why are we hating on each other when we should be giving each other high five, pretty much for the shades that we're in, especially you know, black men. Um, let's not hate on women who are different, shades of color and say one is better than the other. So all black women are beautiful, no matter what shade of color they are. And I'd also like to say, with black men, let's not, we say or I should say, you say that, you want women who are natural, whether it be free of makeup or extra, products, eyelashes and things like that. Like, you don't want a fake woman is what you say, but those are the same women that are your side pieces. So I would take a look into that and wonder, why are you saying you want one thing, but you're showing another? So, and I'm not saying that's all men. That's just, I'm speaking only for the men who were saying that, last but not least, our own people are killing, stealing, and doing things. Why hurt your own community? I mean, we've been hurt. We already have to deal with police killings. There are people still being lynched. Read about it. They want to call them suicides, but there's people that are still being lynched. There's people that are every day. There's a mother or a father that have to tell their child what it's going to be like to be black at a young age, and the world is cruel to us. Look at the criminal justice system, and we have the nerve to go around and kill and steal from each other. Like, you're part of the problem. If you're not going to be helping our community, if you're going to be part of the problem, then you don't need to be part of the black community. Because of all the things of, when I going back to saying black since you're not black enough, how black are you if you are hurting and destroying the black community? So if you're one of those people, that's, whether it's be helping with media propaganda, tap dancing, for people who just to be against us, if you are stealing and killing and being pedophiles and part of sex trafficking and not helping the community, if you're part of the problem that's going on with the prison, and you're one of those police officers that are falsely putting people in jail by planting drugs or doing things, and you're supposedly black, you are part of the problem. And these are the people that don't need to be in our community. It's not black people that's running around, all black people going around criminalizing and stealing and killing. There are other people that are doing that too, but the reason why black on black crime seems to be so prevalent, because you don't hear white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime. You don't hear that. But the reason why black on black crime is one of those things that's mostly talked about is because, with us being one of the most oppressed groups, why hurt each other? I mean, why be part of the problem? We're trying to come up, and we have our own people tearing us down. We got enough of that when we go out in the real world and in society. We don't need it in our own communities. So take a look at yourself. If you're not uplifting or helping the community in any way, then you are part of the problem. So those are things I have to say, dear black people. So again, just to run down, stop saying people are speaking white when they're speaking proper, because black people can speak proper as well, and it's not a white thing. Stop calling people bougie because they want to be educated, or live on a safe side of town, and stop calling the side of town that's safe and nice, the white side of town, as if only white people can live in nice areas. Um, and if you're not, if you don't just have the same black consensus that you think everyone is supposed to have, just because you're black, stop saying they're not black. Again, unless they just completely don't have an agenda for uplifting the black community at all. And then we can go there and stop with this black on black crime. We have enough of oppression and discrimination and hate going on in the world. The last thing we need to do is hate each other, hate our own skin tones or each other's skin tone of who's better based on color, and stop hating on women based on, whether they want to be team natural, whether it's team natural as far as makeup and nails, hair, or whatever. So we're all black, we're all beautiful. Whether I have weave in my hair or my natural hair, I'm beautiful. Whether I have makeup on or not, I'm beautiful. And whether I'm light skin, dark skin, or brown, I'm beautiful. And we need to just stop hating on each other. In regards to this is stupid stuff to sit here and we have so much going on in the world and we're hating on each other based on how light or how dark we are. Do you see how stupid that sounds? We're the only people that do that. Oh my God, that is the stupidest thing ever. But you guys tell me what you think. So that's my whole Dear Black People thing. Comment below, like and subscribe.